So then what can the government do to increase its revenue collection? Because as you know that, there are debates on that. Some people say it's actually falling. Some people just say that the rate of growth is falling. But either way, the story is not good. What would you like to see the government do to increase its own ability to rake in the money, to bring in the revenue?
We have to widen the tax base. There are many people who are in the tax brackets who do not pay taxes today. One of the reasons people do not want to become first-time taxpayers is because they fear that if they become first-time taxpayers, their past will be opened up. So I think government must find some way where they encourage people to become first-time taxpayers. We widen the base very considerably and practically are able to do it without people's fears being brought into the
Would you expect any action on this front, widening the tax base in this budget, sir?
It's a possibility, and I think there is tremendous scope in widening the tax base in India.
Do you believe that rich farmers should now be made to pay income tax, sir?
I think this practice of agricultural income not being subject to income tax, I think should be done away with. Okay. Now, whether it will be done away with in this budget or not, but I don't think it can go on for a very long time.
Well, connected to, of course, the government bringing in revenues is the whole issue of black money. I mean, it's a hot button political issue. It's an issue that resonates with average citizens. Have you been satisfied with what the government has done to try and, stop black money, to try and clean up the system there?
No, not at all. I think a lot can be done. I think there must be incentives that do not encourage black money to take place, and as you mentioned, if tax rates are raised, it will add to black money. So I think we have to play a balancing act to see that collections rise but not tax rates.
Would corporate India welcome a kind of voluntary disclosure scheme of some sort where for a small penalty like 5%, people who had black money either in India or abroad were able to declare it and convert it into white money? Would that help clean up the problem quickly and effectively? If not, it has its own moral complications, but would you support that just on the basis of its pragmatic value?
We have had such schemes in the past. They don't help much unless the whole system is reformed. So yes, having such a scheme and then ensuring that there is an incentive to pay taxes correctly is a good way. But what the Finance Minister can certainly do in this budget is to encourage investment. He should provide a short-term incentive for increased investment. That would help growth tremendously and lead to higher collection. So for example, he could allow accelerated depreciation or an investment allowance for say a finite period of 2 to 3 years to expedite investment. So people who want to expand would do so early and not later.
Now there's some criticism on that front because a lot of people calculate that the effective rate of taxation for large corporations in India is only about 22 or 24% because of the various incentives that were initially given. Even in the face of the slowdown, many of them still continue. So what would you say to those critics who say that, look, the effective tax rate is already just 24%. There have been so many benefits given in the form of incentives that is why the government is not being able to raise revenues.
No. The incentives have been given for particular purposes. For example, when we wanted to expand industrialization in areas such as the Northeast or Himachal or Uttarakhand, special incentives were given. Now these were given because companies expended money to start manufacturing in these out-of-the-way regions. So I think the country has benefited from this. So that should not be confused from the fact that the maximum marginal rate of corporate tax is 33%. Incentives are separately given for corporates taking certain actions which are in the national interest. One shouldn't confuse the two.
There's also a demand being put out that while cutting fuel subsidies would address the issue of the huge oil bill that we've got, another huge bill we're looking at is the gold import bill. India is importing between 65 to 75 billion dollars worth of gold every year. Do you see this as a problem, or do you see this as something good, that we are basically taking ownership of a global asset in India?
No, I don't think importing non-productive asset like gold and accumulating a non-productive asset in households such as gold is a good thing for the country. I think if we should encourage investments, we should encourage people to feel that investing in certain areas is much better than investing in gold. Unfortunately, we haven't done that. We failed to do that. People feel investing in gold is better than investing in, say, stocks or other productive assets. Now, if you encourage investment in productive assets, if you discourage investment in gold, I think it will be good for the economy, both from the point of view of the current account deficit, which these $60 billion of gold imports in the previous financial year created.
So what do you think that could be? Is there any sort of a policy decision? Like some people talk about taxing gold, which takes us back to the old days. Some people talk about making it easier to clean up the stock market and to give incentives to people to put their money into bonds and stocks like you were mentioning.
No, I think there should be incentives given for people who invest in things like stocks, insurance policies, residential housing. The subvention in affordable housing should be increased, and such incentives will automatically lead investments away from gold into productive investments.
Okay. Are you worried about, since you mentioned real estate, about the state of real estate in India? I mean, you're a big real estate player. Do you feel that there's a bubble, that the funding that the sector requires, it doesn't have industry status, the interest rates which are so high that make EMIs high and make it difficult for middle class people to buy even small flats? Are you bothered that there's a bubble in this industry, sir?
I don't think there's a bubble in this industry at all, but I am concerned that there's not sufficient growth in this industry. If there is a tremendous need for additional housing in this country, 80% of all real estate development in the country is residential housing. That needs to be encouraged. You're right, the high interest rates have led to high EMIs, which is discouraging housing. So if housing is encouraged, the real estate industry would grow, construction would grow, employment would grow, consumption of various materials that go into the real estate industry would grow, and it will be very good for GDP growth. So certain incentives need to be brought in. This is the right time to bring that in, because it will be a win-win situation for the GDP growth of the country.
Do you think the FM would give property development an industry status?
Well, I don't think that is, to my mind, that's not the critical point. The critical point is interest rates when people buy housing, mortgage rates should be reasonable, and people's ability to buy housing should be encouraged.
And you know, inflation is of course linked, I mean interest rates are linked to inflation. Do you see inflation coming down in India over the next 12 months?
Most definitely, because the global commodity prices are coming down, inflation will come down. I think if you look at inflationary expectations, they are already down, and I think this is the right time to reduce interest rates in the country, because that will promote GDP growth. If GDP growth goes up, in fact the rupee will appreciate, and appreciation of the rupee will bring inflation down.
That's true. That's an argument that's put forward. We hope that the RBI and government hear this. But let's just shift gears a little bit. Apart from the policy prescriptions that, we can talk about, there are the practical elements of, them being rolled out. Does it concern you that that is where the real logjam is? You touched upon that in the beginning, that it's really the practical rollout of policies that matters. Now, for example, apart from cash transfer, the government's other big idea is the right to food bill that could cost India about 60,000 crores. Now, no one really argues that, the right to food bill is a bad idea conceptually, that it's morally wrong. The largest concern is, of course, that this will become another cow that middlemen and touts across the country will milk, and that the benefits won't reach the poor. So, are you concerned that all these actions and schemes without any corresponding change in governance will lead us down a road to disaster?